Millions of families and professionals will touch the child welfare system this year alone. And it's the same every year. And this is the truth. Our system is complicated, it's confusing, and it's difficult to navigate. I'm your host, Chanel Dupree, and this is Navigating Child Welfare. Because I don't know anyone who has navigated a system confused and has achieved the best possible outcome. And the outcomes are not just simple metrics. We're talking about families, we're talking about communities, and we're talking about impacting generations. So hug your loved ones a little bit tighter and let's dive in to make connections, gain clarity, and navigate the child welfare system well. I honestly do not know if I could do this work, and by this I mean the work of families, without having faith, without believing in God, without knowing that God is in control, that redemption is possible, that I've been redeemed, that others can be redeemed, and that He loves each and every one of us, no more and no less. And so I connect a lot of things back to my faith. And one of the things that I connect back to my faith and the book that I believe, which is the Bible, is the feeling that you are by yourself, but you're not. That you are always surrounded. That there's always something happening that maybe you just can't see with your natural eyes. And it reminds me actually of 2 Kings chapter 6, and it's talking about the prophet Elisha. And essentially Elisha was in the king's business. Okay, so Elisha was hearing from God and advising his king, so the king of Israel, about what to do and what not to do regarding the Armenians. So he was in the king of Armenians' business, and the king of Armenian was like, go get him. So he sent his army to surround the city where Elisha was. And when Elisha's servant woke up, he saw that he was surrounded, and he was like kind of freaking out a little bit, like, oh my gosh. The servant of God, so the prophet Elisha, got up and he said, hey, so you actually don't need to be afraid, because we have more who are for us than those who are with them, those who are against us. And then Elisha prayed and said, oh Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw that the hills were full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. Then Elisha prayed and asked that the people be struck with blindness, and then he led them away, and like all these different things. So when I think about this, what's happening in the word, and when I think about how at times we can think that we're by ourselves, but we just have to open up our eyes and see, I think about the child welfare system in really two different ways. When I truly do believe that one of the reasons that families come into the system is because of the lack of connection, that they don't have people around them who are providing that good support and that good help. My mind goes to two of the systems that we sometimes don't spend a whole lot of time talking about, although it's increased in recent years. And those two systems are prevention and support, because prevention keeps families out of the foster care system. Prevention says we meet the needs of families so that they never have to come into the system. And when families are not aware of the preventative services that are available to them, then it's like they're walking around with their eyes closed, and they don't see that they really can get the help that they need. When I talk about support, I think about when a family perhaps is leaving the system. It's like, okay, now what? Like, how are we going to make sure that people who aren't paid to be there are still going to be surrounding this family? Because if the only support that a family has is people who are paid to be there, then once those people are no longer paid to be there, that support goes away. And that can't be the primary support. It can be a way, like to lift them up and to move forward, but you need people who can naturally surround and love a family. It's why I appreciate our church family. Our church family and many church families across the nation are prevention, and they're also supports. And we have 4 children ages 12, 14, 15, and 16. Well, of course, at some point during the year, they are all like 13, 14, 15, 16. So that means at some point I had a newborn 1, 2, 3-year old. And it was a decision that we made to have our children close so that they could be close. And then I had like this goal where I was going to have all my kids by 30, which happened. Hallelujah. But that didn't mean that it still wasn't tough at times. And our support systems are many things, our family, but also our church family. And I would come into the church sanctuary, and my husband had many different responsibilities within the church, and people, cousins, aunts, grandparents would come and grab the babies, and at times I could just have a moment, and that was amazing. That was an amazing support for me during that time. And so at times we just need to open up our eyes and see, what are our natural supports? What are the natural supports that a family has? How can we make sure that we're outlining that and that we're clear on that, so that families can be clear and begin to really tap into that? And if a family says that they have no one, like, we need to start there. Because if they have no one and they've come to our attention, then that means that they need someone, right? That means that they need that support. And I do believe that sometimes shame plays a role in families not asking for help, not asking for support. There were multiple times where I would be in court and I was appointed perhaps to represent a parent, and I would, go up and meet my client, and we would go through the temporary order of custody hearing. And then afterward, a grandparent or a family member would come up to me and they would say, I had no idea. I had no idea that my child or that whoever was struggling. If I would have known, I would have helped. And that if I would have known, it's like, why didn't they know? People can pretend, and and sometimes there can be judgment. We're like, well, people should have stepped in. They should have known. Listen, people know what you show them. And if you don't show them, if you pretend, if you hide that thing, then people won't know. And so unless sometimes if you're in the house and you're seeing it with your own eyes, people can put on people can pretend. And so today I'm just wanting for us to open our eyes, see what are the natural supports, not judge the supports, not judge the prevention, but recognize that that is what's helpful and safe for that family, and really begin to tap into that and to encourage families to continue to develop those resources. Because again, like Elisha, if we could just ask for our eyes to be opened and see, then families would have what they need in order to be safe and in order to thrive. Our mission is to simplify systems and connect communities. If you are interested in learning more about the Sinking Child Welfare Program, click the link in the show notes to stay updated. I'm excited to stay connected to you.